Hey y'all, it's Bethany here. Welcome back to my channel, Bethany Brings Books. I am excited to be doing a video today talking about some of the things that I have been reading lately. So, I have been reading some really good stuff over the month of January. We're halfway through the month and I am just chugging away at some of the books that I've been working on, so I want to talk about them. So, first of all, I finished a Yorkshire Carol by Jennie Goutet. It is a Christmas book. I'll put a picture up here. I don't know, I cannot figure out where I put it, but I finished that one. I had started it right around Christmas and I finished it. And it was such a very sweet, wholesome Christmas story. Jennie Goutet, I think, deserves so much more recognition here on Booktube. She really writes very well. And actually, I just saw an update from her on Instagram that she is going to have a book published through Baker. I think next year, maybe? I'm not sure. I don't know if it's this year or next year. Anyway, she's been mostly indie published, but her books are so good. Like, she writes very much in like a Jane Austen style. Her writing, her stories are very sweet. Her writing, I read quite a few different Regency authors, and I feel like Jennie Goutet, in my opinion, is really close to Jane Austen. Like, in her writing style, her language is readable, but she also has a very true to that time period feel. Her stories are very sweet stories. And this one was like that. It was just very sweet. It followed a young lady, y'all, and I'm probably not going to remember all these names because I'm terrible with names, but it followed a young lady that goes to this, so she's living in London. Her godmother asked her to come spend Christmas in Yorkshire, which is where she's originally from. And she doesn't really want to trade the excitement of Yorkshire to go spend Christmas at the holiday season in Yorkshire. Or she don't want to leave the excitement of London to go spend the holiday season in Yorkshire. But with some slight convincing from her godmother, she does. And it is this month-long party on a Yorkshire estate, and there's different people invited to this celebration, and so they're all staying at the estate for a month, and they're decorating for Christmas and doing all of the Christmas traditions, singing carols, cooking, there's like the big meals, they're eating the food, and there's like, they're not the ones cooking, but they're eating the foods and everything. And so it really felt like a close and personal look at Christmas in Yorkshire in the early 1800s. Just very cozy, very sweet. The story was sweet. The young lady ends up being another young man is there. Really, the godmother is kind of trying to do some matchmaking. And so there's a young man that she grew up with, the young lady grew up with, William, I'm not sure how to say his name. It's spelled a little differently than William, but he's there as well. And she kind of spurned him several years ago. She didn't care for anyone from Yorkshire. She was interested in a London man. And so they're kind of brought back together, and she begins to realize that maybe she does have feelings for him now. And now she's afraid it's too late. My cat's back there playing. But anyway, so the story, it was just very sweet. Very sweet. It looked like just an inside look at a Yorkshire holiday season, and it was just sweet and adorable. And I think I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't really very fast paced. I mean, it's a very slow moving, just sweet story. It wasn't very long, but it was still just a really atmospheric book for the holiday season if you want to feel like you're in Yorkshire in England. And she took very great care with all the details, the carols and the holiday foods, and she brought in a lot of traditions that I had never heard of. So that was very interesting. So I finished that, and then I have also started The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. I think that's my cats, y'all. I am about 40% through with this now. I've read that much, and I keep chipping away, and I'm like, is it only 40%? It looks like it should be like 50, but it's only 40. But this book is long, y'all. But y'all, I'm loving this book. buddy reading this with Kelly from Kelly Reads a Lot, and Courtney from Courtney Reads, and I am just loving this. It's so atmospheric. It did slow down a little after it was very atmospheric for the first little bit, and then there was a few sections where it got kind of slow, and so I hadn't read it in a few days until today. But I picked it back up to this morning. But it's picked back up, like when I was reading it today, it got to this certain section and then it picked up from there, and there was some really interesting stuff going on. And I think the thing about this book is I'm like, I don't know what's going on. You'll see little details. Let me do my video, okay? I think it's going one direction and then it turns and I'm like, is it going this direction? And then it's like, I don't know what's going on, and I don't know who's legit and who's suspicious, and I just don't know. I'm like confused, but in a good way, like intrigued, very intrigued, very.
Hello, I don't know.
Wanting to know what's going on, what's going to happen next, and just like, what? It's very atmospheric, y'all. It really feels like you're there. He has a really intriguing way of writing, and so I'm loving this. Cannot wait to read more in it, and can't wait to read more about Wilkie Collins. Then I'm also reading The Burning of Rosemont Abbey, and I'm proud of myself because both of these were on my January TBR, so making progress. This book released late last year, I think, and it's by Naomi Stevens. I have another book by her called Shadow Among Sheaves, I think, and it's historical, but I think it's more, I think it's kind of a retelling of the story of Ruth, but it's historical. It's not biblical. It's like set in the 1800s. Haven't read that one, but this one I am probably about 30-something% into this one, and very interested in this one as well. This feels just like Father Brown, or an Agatha Christie, but much not as intense as an Agatha Christie, I don't think, even though Agatha Christie's not really always intense. Some of them are, but it very much feels like I'm watching like an episode of Father Brown or some other BBC period detective mystery drama. So we have this young lady who is a twin, and right when the book opens up, she immediately feels this feeling that her twin brother is dead. Like she just gets this feeling, and she thinks something's happened to him. And right after that, this Abbey right down the road from the estate that she lives on, it burns down. Like their Abbey, the church where they attend. And everybody's thinking her brother did this, and so she's trying to prove, no, I know my brother wouldn't do this, while also not letting everyone think she's crazy, because she senses, like she has that twin sense that her brother's dead. And at this point, there's no evidence that her brother has died or anything like that, but she just senses that, and so she's trying to investigate it. And of course, the inspector that has come back to town is a childhood friend that she grew up with. So I think there's going to be a love interest there. But at this point, they're kind of butting heads because she wants to investigate her brother's disappearance and this whole, like, everybody else thinks he's involved in the Abbey fire. And she's like, no, he wouldn't do that. So they're kind of butting heads. And her and her brother actually lost both of their parents when they were younger. And so they grew up being raised on the estate of their wealthy aunt and uncle. And so there's that going on, like some drama with the aunt and uncle, and it's set in the 1950s in England, in a little village. It just feels very atmospheric as well. I really am enjoying this one a lot. And I also know I listened to a podcast from Naomi Stevens, and heard that she's writing another mystery. So, I don't know when that one's releasing, but already I'm excited after reading this one. And I started The Problem of Pain. I know I told y'all I started this last month. I started a library edition and did not read much. And so I've picked this one back up. This is my nonfiction that I want to read this month. But I haven't read much. I've only read like that much in it. I need to get back to it. I was reading some. I like to read also like on Sundays. My Christian nonfiction like this. Like that's kind of, I try to have that in my head, is that I like when I read my Bible and stuff, this on Sundays. So I'll probably try to read more of this on Sunday. And maybe even before then, but it just takes me a lot of brain power, so I don't really read this one a lot at night, especially if I've worked and I'm exhausted. And then I have picked up my Irish State magazine, y'all. I'm enjoying this, reading it. This book is actually, I was looking at it, it's from January 2004, so this is 21 years old. That's interesting. But so far I've just read some of the little things in the front, and then I just read a story about a town in North Carolina, and then the next story, this is interesting. It's about a lady from one of the counties in North Carolina who was the first woman ever to parachute from a plane. So her name was Teeny Broadwick. So I'm interested in reading that. I'll be reading that one next. And then after that, there's a little story about talking about a sculptor from a different area in North Carolina. So enjoying that. And then, y'all, I did start my yearly study. I'm on week 3. It's out in the car. I took it to work with me today, so I need to go get that out of the car. I would show y'all, but I'm enjoying that. I haven't done today's yet. I need to do today's, so I'll probably go get it in just a bit and work on that. But I am enjoying it and seeing the connections that it's making so far. But I am enjoying that so far. And when I get a little bit further along, I'll do an update. I want to get a little bit more into it before I really update. But yes, doing my faith study. Also been reading in the Song of Solomon and enjoying both of those. And then let's talk about a book that I read that I loved, y'all. Loved. So I was approved on the art team for Rachel Scott McDaniel's book, The Dreams We Knew. It comes out February the 25th, and I read this in like 2 days, y'all. I loved this. Y'all know I have raved about her book, Walking on Hidden Wings, that I read last year. This book is kind of a companion book. Personally, I would read it after reading Walking on Hidden Wings because there is a side character in Walking on Hidden Wings, and that's the main character in this. And we see the couple from Walking on Hidden Wings a couple of times, like several times throughout the book. You could read this one first, but personally I would read the other one first. But this book, y'all, Rachel Scott McDaniel is just, there is something about her writing that just grips me to where I do not want to put the book down. Like, she is one of those authors. There's a few authors that can do that they write in such a way that each chapter you get to the end of it and you're like, wait, I gotta keep reading. And I don't know how to explain it. It's just her writing style. She hooks you. So this book is set in the 1920s, just like her previous book. I think most of her books are set in the 20s. And at this point, I want to read everything she's written. I love her writing style. But this book follows Kent Brisbane, and I know the female character's name starts with a V, but I can't remember. It's a different name. Her nickname is Vinny. I don't remember what the name is. Valina? I don't know, y'all. I'm bad with names. I'll put it up here on the screen. The book opens up with her, like, sneaking around this building, trying to find a missing person. And very quickly, she comes face to face with someone from her past. Someone that she used to be very close with. And they parted ways several years ago. And that's Kent. And he is also a private investigator. So they both are private investigators, and they've both been asked to find this missing person. And they're brought back into each other's lives, and it's just so swoony and sweet. And so there's so many layers to this story. So I love books with marriage reconciliation, and this book has that. I don't want to get spoilery, but we find out within like the first chapter, Kent and the main female character were previously married very briefly. They begin investigating another mystery. Several people have died under suspicious circumstances, and there's just different things going on. And it's just, like I said, there's so many layers to this story. There's like, Kent is also exploring his parentage and like who he is and who his parents were. And the main female is also finding out, like she had found out, we see her kind of exploring her history of being adopted, and her father was actually, her biological father, she had recently found out was actually a mob, like in the mob or whatever, like a crime lord, whatever you call him. And there's just so many layers to the story, y'all. There's just so many different details. The mystery was really good. I thought it was very well done. I am picky about mysteries because I do not like if I can figure one out or if it doesn't seem realistic. She just does these so well. Like, I don't know. She does them well. And so also interesting to note, the main character in this, her sister is the main character in another book called The Mobster's Daughter that Rachel wrote. So there is that connection there. I haven't read that one, but I do know that they're kind of, you see the characters again. So I can't recommend this enough. I don't know how to go into it a lot without spoilers, but there's a lot going on here. We're seeing flashbacks also all through this to see what happened so many years ago, because their marriage was very brief, and there were some unresolved issues, and so we're seeing all of that being brought to light. We're seeing both of them investigating this mystery. It's 1920s. There's gangs in New York, like the mob, and there's speakeasies and just all these different aspects. It's just, if you've ever watched like Frankie Drake mysteries, this feels very much like a Frankie Drake mystery. It was just really good. Really good. And she just writes such swoony characters. He is so swoony. I gave this 5 stars. It's going on my favorites of the year already. Already read favorites of the year so far. I highly recommend that y'all check out Rachel Scott McDaniel. Her books are amazing. And I cannot wait. I've already pre-ordered this. Can't wait for a physical copy. It was so good, guys. I highly recommend this, and I think you should read all of her books. They're so good. So good. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I feel like I can't hype it up enough. Like, I feel like I've not talked about it enough. I need to hype it up more, but it's so good. It's really good. I'm posting some things on Instagram about it and hoping to post some more stuff, so definitely check it out, guys. But yes, thank you so much to Rachel for letting me get an advanced reader's copy, and I'm so thrilled. It was on my list of most anticipated books for this year, and now that I've already read it, it was definitely a good choice to go on that list. But anyway, guys, that's what I've been reading lately, so thank y'all for watching. I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.